Form videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the Upstone versus the World show that we do every week with Doug Upstone, where we discuss with him the three value picks that he has included in the article that he writes for SBR Forum every week. Value picks for the upcoming NFL slate. Right now, we're looking ahead to NFL Week 9. Doug, thanks for being back with us.
Hey, Peter, it's great to be back once again. And hey, things are looking pretty good. Another 2-1 week, so can't complain. And then the other thing, just should have had a real good chance to be 3-0, except, Detroit outgains Dallas by 355 yards, but still manages not to cover because of 4 turnovers.
No, I remember in our call last week, I had a sneaking suspicion. I was like, man, I like Doug's picks this week. I predicted it in the show. I said, I think you're going to go 2-1 this week. And yeah, I think Detroit was the right side last week, but that's the way the NFL goes. A lot of times you're on the right side, you wind up with a loss. All right, let's see what you have for us this week. NFL Week 9 value pick number 1, Doug Upstone. Go.
Number 1 is Buffalo plus the points over Kansas City. Now, the Kansas City offense has been slowing down with each passing week under Alex Smith as he makes fewer and fewer big plays. While there's plenty to like about the Kansas City's defense being the top-rated one, their offense just is not that imposing. Now, Peter, I like what I've seen so far out of Buffalo quarterback Thad Lewis, and playing at home should generate, I think, the running game a little bit more, which would allow Lewis to find receivers like Steve Johnson and tight end Scott Chandler. Now, Buffalo is 8-0 against the spread off a road loss and a perfect 5-0 straight up and ATS when KC visits upstate New York. Kansas City is going down.
Hey, Doug Upstone, you might be a pretty sharp motherfucker. I mean, that's a pretty sharp pick right there, I'll tell you. At first glance, I was kind of like staying off that game, but I previewed it with Scott Kellen from 6centsports.com, very well-respected handicapper, and he gave the same opinion as you. Buffalo +3 is the right side. It feels like a sharp side, and now I'm completely convinced. I think you're right there, Doug Upstone. All right, value pick number 2, go.
Number 2 is Oakland minus the points over Philadelphia. Now, the Raiders stunned Pittsburgh last week with Terrell Pryor having the longest run by a quarterback for a touchdown, and they held on for the upset. I really like what second-year coach Dennis Allen is doing with the Raiders because they're playing harder with more passion, and the result is evident on the gridiron. Now, so much for Chief Kelly revolutionizing NFL offenses. Kelly is quickly finding out that in this league, you got to have a good quarterback, and he doesn't have one. Philadelphia has 1 offensive touchdown in the last 8 quarters, and their once unstoppable running game has 132 total yards the last 2 weeks. Look for the Raiders to build on the momentum of last week and send the Eagles flying to 1-9 against the spread after losing as a home favorite.
I'll tell you what, Doug Upstone, I previewed that game with Tony George, and we both agreed that Oakland minus 2.5 is a side with pretty clear value. It's kind of one of those maybe a little bit too good to be true lines, but sometimes those lines just are actually true. It's kind of the opposite of the Buffalo game, which is like sort of a contrarian pick, going against an undefeated team. This one, it just seems a little bit too good to be true, but me and Tony George both agreed that it's not too good to be true. It is true, it's there, and you bet it, and you're agreeing with us. All right, I like it. Doug Upstone, value pick number 3, go.
Number 3 is Pittsburgh plus the points over New England. Now, I know, everybody's getting tired of me picking the Patriots every week, right or wrong, but Tom Brady and New England offense just isn't right. And when I look at this getting 6.5 or 7 points, this is something I really have to consider. Now, sure, Pittsburgh lost last week to Oakland, but they're getting points in what I think are 2 fairly evenly matched offenses, and the underdog Steelers defense is ranked 4th compared to the Patriots at 18th. To me, this has all the makings of a 3-point game, and I know November road dogs off a loss are 30-7 against the spread the last 4 years. Peter, value play with Pittsburgh here.
I'll tell you what, Doug Upstone, I previewed that game with a guy I really respect, Stephen O. from Event Data Services. He gave the same opinion, Pittsburgh plus 6.5. I think that might be a very sharp side this week as well. Doug Upstone, I really like your picks this week. I'm smelling 2-1. I think you have a real decent shot at 3-0 this week. Great picks this week, Doug Upstone, and now you also have a fade for us. Let's hear what that's all about.
Yeah, so this week my team to look to fade is Minnesota. Now, as we've seen all year, the Vikings do not have a reliable quarterback. This allows opposing teams to stuff the box to contain Adrian Peterson, and the unimaginative play calling by the Minnesota coaches curtails whatever level of success they could possibly have. Now, defensively, without a consistent pass rush, the NFL's worst secondary, partly due to injury, needs 2 more players on the field to go to 13 to have a chance to stop quality passers. In the short term, I suggest play against the Vikings.
All right. You see, this is why I don't like this new segment in this show. Obviously, Minnesota's an awful team, but I previewed that game this week coming up with Green Bay, and I previewed that one with Scott Kellen. And Scott Kellen was like, yes, Minnesota's awful, but 10 is too many points to be giving them. He recommends betting on Minnesota this week. So, but yeah, your point is well taken. Minnesota's obviously a horrific team. All right, but as far as your value picks are concerned, Doug Upstone, I really like them. I think you're going to have a winning week. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, Peter. Great to be here.